When your child doesn't listen or behaves in ways that frustrate you, it's easy to think they're being defiant or stubborn. But what if I told you that most of these behaviors aren't intentional at all? They're actually the natural result of an immature brain that's still developing. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for self-control, judgment, and emotional regulation, is the last area to fully mature. In fact, it doesn't complete its development until around the mid-20s. This means that young children simply don't have fully functioning brakes yet. When a child knows they shouldn't do something, but does it anyway, it's not weakness of character. It's an underdeveloped neural circuit. During early childhood, another part of the brain, called the amygdala, is highly active. This is the emotional center that responds to pleasure, discomfort, likes, and dislikes. The amygdala acts like a survival instinct, quickly detecting danger and reacting. But because the prefrontal cortex isn't mature enough to calm these emotional responses, the amygdala can essentially take over, leading to crying, tantrums, and outbursts. These aren't signs of a bad child. They're protective responses from the brain. So what should we do instead of scolding? When emotions are running high, children's brains can't process verbal instructions. Their prefrontal cortex goes offline and danger signals flood their system. What they need isn't words. They need safety. A calm voice, calling their name gently, encouraging deep breaths, and providing physical reassurance. These actions help their nervous system settle down. Only when the brain feels safe can real learning begin. Here's something crucial to understand. Scolding actually prevents learning. When we scold a child, their body releases cortisol, a stress hormone. While cortisol serves important protective functions, too much of it suppresses the hippocampus, the brain region, responsible for memory and learning. This means that when a child is being scolded, they're not able to understand what you're trying to teach them. Instead of remembering the lesson, they only remember feeling scared or sad. In this stressed state, the brain prioritizes avoidance over learning. Children start behaving in ways that help them avoid getting scolded. Rather than genuinely understanding and growing, fear literally stops thinking. When the amygdala detects threat, it temporarily blocks communication with the prefrontal cortex. A child being scolded isn't choosing not to think. They physically cannot think in that moment. This is why asking, "Why did you do that?" during a heated moment rarely gets an answer. Learning happens in safety, not in fear. Research shows that positive emotional states activate the brain's reward system, releasing dopamine, which enhances memory formation. Gentle phrases like, "That didn't work out, did it? Let's try this next time," activate the prefrontal cortex and help children develop resilience. Many parents focus on praise, and while praise is valuable, there's something even more powerful: recognition. The brain's reward system, centered in an area called the nucleus accumbens, releases dopamine when we experience accomplishment. But here's the interesting part. This system responds more strongly to process recognition than to outcome evaluation. Saying, "You got 100 on your test, great job," focuses on results. But saying, "I noticed how carefully you worked on this," or "You really thought that through," focuses on effort. This builds what scientists call intrinsic motivation, the kind that comes from within rather than depending on external rewards. When children only receive outcome-based praise, they can develop reward system dependency. They start needing external validation to take action, becoming what we call instruction dependent. True recognition, on the other hand, builds self-efficacy, the belief that "I can do this." This creates a brain that's resilient to stress and unafraid of challenges. One of the hardest things for parents is learning to wait. We live in a culture that values speed and immediate results, but neural circuits can only develop slowly through repetition and at the child's own pace. Brain growth is like planting a seed. You can't pull on the sprout to make it grow faster. When children seem to be doing nothing, their brains are often working internally. They're organizing emotions, visualizing actions, and building neural networks in the prefrontal cortex. Self-control requires a partnership between the prefrontal cortex and another region, called the cingulate cortex. This partnership takes over 10 years to fully develop. Believing they can't do it now, but they will eventually. And waiting with that trust actually accelerates neural growth. Your patience sends a message of safety to the child's brain. Scolding and rushing, on the other hand, increase stress hormones and temporarily reduce prefrontal cortex function. The brain can only mature in an environment of safety. Waiting doesn't mean doing nothing. It means actively observing, respecting the child's pace, and adjusting the environment accordingly. Just being present without raising your voice or rushing them helps children feel trusted, allowing them to learn self-regulation naturally. Instead of scolding, we need to learn to communicate. When we scold emotionally, children's brains go into defense mode and can't receive the message. The key is to convey meaning, not emotion. Angry statements like, "Why did you do that?" or "That's enough," come across as attacks. The brain registers the tone of anger, not the content of the words. Instead, calmly explaining, "Please stop, that's dangerous," or "Let's try it this way next time," activates the prefrontal cortex. Rational language builds rational brains. When children cry or get angry, we often want to stop the emotion immediately. But it's more important to first acknowledge their feelings. Saying, "That surprised you, didn't it?" or "You felt frustrated when that didn't work," activates mirror neurons, which help the brain process empathy. This brings the prefrontal cortex and amygdala back into balance, naturally calming the emotional storm. Empathy is the foundation of discipline. Only after emotions have settled can behavioral guidance be effective. And here's a surprising benefit: when you use empathetic language, your own brain stabilizes too. This happens because empathy triggers the release of oxytocin, which suppresses stress hormones. Communication that prioritizes understanding rather than scolding benefits both the child's brain and the adults. The environment you create at home has enormous power. Children's brains develop in response to the stimuli they receive, the words they hear, and the atmosphere. They grow up and shape their neural pathways. A calm home with minimal emotional volatility allows the prefrontal cortex to develop steadily. In contrast, an environment filled with yelling and tension keeps the amygdala in constant alert mode, creating a brain stuck in defense mode. Your child's brain doesn't need perfection. It needs consistency of safety. Your soft voice, calm expression, and unhurried movement signal everything is okay to their nervous system, strengthening their capacity for self-control. Rather than focusing on correct methods, prioritize emotional comfort. This isn't about being permissive. It's about giving the nervous system what it needs to function optimally. When emotions are stable, learning and behavioral change happen naturally. The small difference between "Why did you do that?" and "That happens sometimes. What should we try next?" changes everything about the message the brain receives. The first triggers defense. The second invites thinking. Your family's emotional rhythm, what scientists call affective synchrony, profoundly influences your child's developing brain. When you're calm, your child's heart rate and breathing naturally regulate and oxytocin flows. When you're anxious or angry, that stress resonates through the household. The home functions as a neural resonance chamber. To raise children without constant scolding, adults must first learn to regulate their own nervous systems. Your deep breaths, slower speech, and gentle gaze become the environment that protects and nurtures your child's brain. Problem behaviors aren't character flaws. They're developmental signals. Restlessness, frequent crying, not following. Instructions, these often reflect neural immaturity, not bad behavior. They're signs of a brain in training. When you understand that a behavior stems from underdeveloped circuits, rather than defiance, the need to scold naturally diminishes. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with this child?" ask, "What is this child's brain practicing right now? And what support do they need?" This shift in perspective transforms you from a scolding parent into an understanding one. Inside their small bodies, children are conducting enormous neural experiments every day, struggling, failing, crying. These are all evidence of growth. In progress, not failure. Before you scold, pause and ask yourself, what is my child's brain learning right now? That one breath can transform scolding into understanding and illuminate your child's future with greater warmth. Understanding is the deepest form of love, and brain science gives us solid evidence to support that love. The journey from being a scolding parent to an understanding parent is the most cutting-edge approach to raising children. If you found this helpful, please subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. Thank you for watching.